One of the big challenges that entrepreneurs face is that most of the people around them are not entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are oddballs. We're restless in a way that is uncommon. And we're thinking about possibilities, dreaming of launching something new, leaving behind a lasting mark on the world, creating positive change that's meaningful to countless strangers, and maybe even disrupting a whole industry by creating something that nobody dreamed possible. Um, it's not that other people don't have dreams. Of course, everybody has dreams, I hope. But whether your vision is modest or groundbreaking, if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably a visionary. It kind of goes with the territory, and it means you're fueled by your visions of what might be possible. You're also open to the possibility that you might need to take risks if you're going to bring your visions to reality. So, all entrepreneurs that take action, we're risking our reputations, our investment of time and money, not to mention our hopes and dreams, and, being called crazy and hearing "I told you so" from the people around us. There's always risk, right? But if you're an entrepreneur, you're driven to take action despite those risks because the prospect of what you can create is exciting and it drives you. So chances are the people around you are not entrepreneurs. They might be. If they are, you're lucky. And in fact, I'm going to suggest that you do what you can to surround yourself and at least just be in regular contact with entrepreneurs, consume content by entrepreneurs, because it will help. In my experience, though, it's unusual for both spouses or both partners in a family, especially, to be entrepreneurs. So, or at least to be equally entrepreneurial. So if you're the entrepreneur, chances are your spouse or your partner is not. And so in my family, my dad was the visionary entrepreneur, and my mom was the implementer who was just much more cautious. Implementers are super important, and that partnership can be really useful. Just remember, so our loved ones, they may lovingly give us reasons why our ideas won't work, or why we shouldn't take action on them now, or why we're not the right person to do this because of all kinds of reasons that sound perfectly rational and connect with your doubts and fears, which your loved ones are going to know more about than just perfect strangers. So that's the reason I'm mentioning this. It's so easy already to ask, to get to the place where you're thinking, who am I to do this? And like, what makes me think I can succeed where other people have failed? Or, if there's people smarter than me, so if this was possible, someone else would do it. Who am I? Who do I think I am to have the audacity to try this thing? Just realize those doubts are in every entrepreneur I've ever talked to who's actually being honest. So chances are it's perfectly human. We all have doubts. So remember that, and don't take that too seriously if you really do want to take action. You might also go to a family friend or a volunteer advisor who's worked their entire careers in corporate America as an executive in an established company. So this is extra tricky in a different way because their advice has that extra credibility of experience and wisdom, which they have because they've run companies, right? Or they have been involved high level in companies. The problem with that, so that makes it really compelling what they tell you. The problem with that is that if they came in, unless they've actually started something out from scratch on their own or been super early and been that visionary, their chances are they are not entrepreneurs. And probably they're implementers. If they were hired by a founder to make the company work and run it, they're implementers, most likely, which means they're not visionaries. Like this is, so keep that in mind. They're unlikely to be visionaries because if they were visionaries, they would have started something on their own, right? So chances are they're super experienced, highly skilled executives with decades of expertise running R&D or marketing department, for example, maybe being a CEO or COO. Great advice, wonderful founts of wisdom on how to run a company. But if they've never started and built their own company, then they're not really entrepreneurs and they're not founders. So they likely don't understand or share your vision and your willingness to take reasonable risks to give it a try. So executives in general are probably motivated to avoid risks and go for safer courses of action because that's usually what they're rewarded for when they're brought in to run a company. Right? So an executive with a failed project needs to explain to their CEO or their directors why they took the risk and why it failed. So they're less likely to, to want to be in that defensive position. So they're going to be more likely to want to do, have documented extensive research supporting their decision to act. Meaning, okay, so this is unlikely to fail. I've investigated all these things and it has a 75% chance of working or a 96% chance of working or whatever. They're more likely to want to be cautious, do a lot of research before taking action, and then avoid action on any initiatives that present too many unknowns. So just keep that in mind. The advice you get from a retired executive or your loved ones, both of whom are going to want to keep you safe. They're going to want what's best for you, what they see as best for you. That advice is likely going to be designed to keep you safe, meaning to take the wind out of your sails and just, they're looking at it from the point of view of the best way to avoid failing is to avoid trying. Okay? So don't hold that against them because that's what they're most likely, this is coming from a place of wanting to keep you safe. That's what they think is best for you because that's what they want is safety, okay? Just be aware of that before you take their advice because if you are like most entrepreneurs, most founders, you're not looking for safety. You're trying to, it's not like you want to, take crazy risks, of course, but just recognize that founders are oddballs and we think differently. Instead of thinking the best way to avoid failing is to avoid trying, which is a really common viewpoint outside the entrepreneurial world, the entrepreneurs are more likely to think the surest way to fail, the best way to fail is to not try. If I don't try, I will never know what could have been. I will never know what I could have achieved. So, and I would rather try and fail than never try and never know. If you're an entrepreneur, a founder, one of those at least resonates with you. So if that resonates with you, then look for content from fellow entrepreneurs to help you remember that you're not alone. You're just an oddball, but there are other people who think like you. So seek them out in your community, get to know them, because your mindset is really critical to your success. And the more you have regular contact, even if it's just consuming, like listening to podcasts or videos or something, the more you're able to, communicate and connect with people with that kind of a mindset, the easier it's going to be for you to actually take action on your ideas. And you'll still have doubts, but at least you'll know that you're not alone. So I hope that's helpful. Catherine Cavella, IP Works Law. Thank you.